What's up, everybody? It's your boy Prime. I got the homie Source with me, and we got something very special for y'all today. A lot of you are familiar with our Running Back series. We didn't make this a Running Back series. We go back and look at old movies and shows and things and talk about them. But it is what it is. We got something very very special today. As of the taping of this, we just finished a series on Hulu, Wu-Tang: An American Saga, which I am sure that all of you are very familiar with. Source, I'm hyped to talk about this. What about you?
Yeah, man. It's not too many times that we've had something that focused on uh, a real life hip hop group. And we've got this, of course, we had the NWA movie, but it's not a lot of like, not that this was a true story. I mean, but it was generally speaking telling the story of Wu Tang. But yeah, it's not too many times we get to talk about real life heroes while they're living, most of them, and in our present.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, man. Like, what you said was on point about us not being able to talk about, a lot of our folks while they're living. We tend to tell the story once they've passed on. And I'm not even gonna lie. When I first heard that this was coming, I was hyped about it, but I was a little hesitant too because we've seen some things, and a lot of them are like biopics and stuff that they put on television, where they'll do some reenactments and talk about these people. Now, all of them, some of them didn't turn out all that good. Like, were
Right.
very forgettable. But they were able to give us 3 seasons, 3 good seasons, which I felt was the perfect amount to get the story told that they wanted to tell. And the RZA came out with it. He paired up with a guy by the name, I guess it's Alex Say. I don't know if the T is silent. Back in 2019, I think we were around by the time we were going through a pandemic, or right in that, which I know also delayed a lot of the filming from what they wanted to do. But I think they came out with something pretty good. What was your first thoughts when you first heard this was coming though? Like were
Man, I
you
was hyped. I was hyped. I was hyped because I was like, no matter what it is, no matter what it turns out to be, it's going to be entertaining because it's Wu Tang related, and for it to show so much of them, their characters. Actually, most of the characters are pretty spot on when it comes to what we know of the personality, generally
Mhm.
speaking. Um, I was excited because, like I said, there's not a lot of things where you can say, we're looking at hip hop legends and watching their story while they're still alive. So I loved it. I loved the idea of it.
Yeah, so they did a good job with this. So in 2020, so they were nominated for a Primetime Emmy when RZA was. Same year, they won a Golden Reel Award, and what that is, that's the best music to a for a streaming slash TV show on that. And then they turn around and won that award again after the second season. So, people were taking notice. Definitely, people were taking notice in and outside of the entertainment field. And you mentioned something that we'll dive right into when you were talking about things being, fact or fiction. And the question is, a lot of the events during the course of this saga, people were questioning how much of it was real, you know.
Right.
And what I loved about it was, well, there was some things that were actual that actually did happen. There were some things that didn't happen, but were based off of events that did happen. You know what I'm saying? That's some other things. And I always, we go early into it. Remember there was that scene. I don't know if you remember when it was an ODB was having the conversation and he was talking about he battled Q-Tip back in school. You look that up and so they actually did.
That's real.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah, they spit some bars back at each other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, that really happened because Q-Tip actually told this story
Yeah.
on Math Hoffa's podcast. Um, the story they got me at first, like, because we didn't know what it was going to be or what it
Right.
was, but early on, the one that got me was Power and Ray going to shoot up Ghostface crib,
Crib.
his
Yeah.
mom's house anyway.
Mhm.
I was talking to my guy Jerry Miller, who's in the SVP, and we were talking back and forth after that episode. It was like, "Yo, did you think that really happened? Ain't no way that happened. There's no way they could have become friends and as tight as they are if something like that happened, or could it? Nah, it ain't." We went through a whole thing back and forth trying to figure out if it was real, but I don't think either of us thought it was really real. But again, this was early on, so we didn't know what was being told as the real story and what was being, exaggerated or even just added to the drama of the show.
Yeah, so if I'm correct with that particular incident, the way that I heard it explained was that actually Ray and Ghost never really had any beef. That they never
Mm.
had a beef, but that they were from rival neighborhoods. So being they were
Yes.
from rival neighborhoods, well, of course, the neighborhoods themselves weren't all that friendly. You travel to a different neighborhood or a different borough. But they did say that during the course of that Ray actually shot shot at one of somebody that Ghost know, right? And Ghost Man actually retaliated on Ray. So that's
Mm.
what I've heard that before. And I read that somewhere before. So not so much the two of them, but they were actually ended up cool. They didn't really have a beef with each other. But Ghost, well, actually, Ghost supposed to shot at one of Ray's people, I believe, or vice versa, and then they kind of retaliated each other. But the two of them never actually had a beef with each other. So, but that was interesting. Like, you talk about things that could have been put in or left out. I think for this story, that whole rivalry between them was everything.
Yeah, they
Like
had to have
everything.
that.
Yeah,
That was a good
yeah,
part of the story, and that was a good, what is it called when writers take their creative license when it comes to writing projects out that are, you know, true, or whether you thought this was supposed to be a true story, like everything was true or not. That was a good point to take creative license and make a storyline out of that relationship.
yeah. And the way they all the way over to when they actually started to come together, we saw around about the beginning to the middle. I think it was in season 2 when they had finally were convinced to work together, and they had already all moved into the one little apartment, and where they were trying to set up that recording studio and things of that nature. And um, Ray did the silent for a Ghost, ended up putting that baby bed together for him. And, he didn't know. And so, but I think that whole dynamic between Ray and Ghost was everything in this particular series, man. I think they played that very well.
Yeah, and definitely, like, shout out to both actors. Was Saunders? I can't remember his first name.
So this is too much
Um,
deep.
Sadiq Saunders
Mm-hmm.
as Ghostface, and then Shamik Moore or Shamik Moore. I won't Shamik because it sounds more Raekwon like. Shamik Moore. Yo, Shamik Moore is Raekwon as far as I'm concerned. Like, we saw him back in what's it called?
To get down,
The Get Down. Yes, and he was
Shaolin
dope. And
fantastic. Yeah.
he was dope in that. But man, this right here, like, when it comes to taking on the character of a real life person and their walk, swag, the way they talk, the way they move, the way they pause in conversations, and he had Raekwon down.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And he's ultra talented, man. Like we talk about seeing him on the Get Down and that, but after I saw him on the Get Down, I started just thumbing through some things, just being lazy on streaming services, and his name would pop up, and there's like some other things that he's done. That if you see him playing Shaolin Fantastic and more or less playing Ray, you'll be like, he can do that too. Like, he
Yeah.
can be the kid, the nice guy. He played. I seen him in this other joint that he was. I guess it was somewhat of a love story, I guess. And it's crazy. He's ultra talented, and he's also the voice of Miles Morales for the superhero fans, who's basically the young black kid Spider-Man. And the new
Mm,
Spider-Man movie's about to hit, so he's getting that paper.
can't
We'll,
knock that.
we'll be seeing him, or at least hearing his voice here within the next couple of months on the big screen. So ultra talented. And we're going to expand
So
on him a little bit more too, as we're going to ask when we get into the definitely get into the characters. But yeah, that as we just said, that Ray and Ghost situation was everything for this. So I think that was actually well played. Something else I found that was interesting too was we're talking about fact or fiction. Was remember the whole debacle between ODB and Bobby about the whole record label signing?
oh yeah,
Yeah, ODB wanted to be on. He wanted
yeah,
Def Jam.
Def Jam.
Bobby got him signed to Elektra, and they said that whereas ODB actually really did want to be signed to Def Jam, they said that that was kind of overplayed a little bit as far as the show was. So they actually wasn't really that beef. So he was a little disappointed,
Right.
because he wanted Def Jam, but the whole deal about how they played it out, which I still love the way they played it out, that ODB was like super mad, super extra with it, and they won't speak in and all that.
That makes sense. Like I could have seen that being real though.
Yeah,
I could have, but they took that as a moment to make sure that people understood that ODB, not that didn't know that ODB had a mind of his own, but
right.
that he would be willing to make his own decisions as far as the character in the show. And he wanted what he wanted, and he, I don't know. I mean, I feel like that was, it may not have been as extreme, but I feel like that was a real thing. And he ended up going to Def Jam uh, later on in real life.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yep. They You would say when I knew this thing was really gonna be dope though, like the second when they had released like a day or two before we could actually watch the stream, a release
mhm.
came out and you started to see the names of the episodes. And I'm like, here we go. And the names of the episodes were actually the name of Wu songs.
Right.
So and I think the first episode was they picked the perfect song for that. Can it be all so simple? Because the way the first episode started is we started to see, what this thing was really about. You started to see, you got to meet everybody. Well, not everybody right off, but
Most of them.
you got to see the
Right.
struggle they were going through. We saw a mother in Erica Alexander, which I love. I love her. Queen right there, struggling, as probably a lot of mothers are, knowing that she's got kids is out here doing things in the street, and she may not necessarily want them to be doing those things, but unfortunately it might be necessary so they can keep a roof over their head and eat. You know what I'm saying? So she was never somebody that glorified what they were doing, but you know,
The real life struggles. That's real life. Like
yeah,
it
yeah,
don't get much realer than that.
yeah. But when I saw they were putting all the names up there, I mean, we went through this whole series. Can it be also simple? Um, all I got is you, a Brooklyn Zoo, labels, liquid swords, protecting that. All these were actually titles of certain episodes throughout the entire 3 seasons. So when I
Mhm.
saw that, I said, I don't know. Okay. Yeah, this is definitely going to be dope. This
Gotta
is definitely
appreciate that.
going to be dope. Um, when did you like? I know you really, really liked it. I mean, we can rate it a little bit. I know you really, really like it. But at one point, like I know you said you were hype about it when they first showed it. But at what point during during the first season, whenever it is that you knew like 100, nah, I really, really like this.
Oh, one day, I don't even know if it was at this point or before this, but I remember one day, the episode when they went to it. It's like four or five of them before you guys got arrested.
Uh-huh.
They went to a college campus,
Yeah.
and they were that episode. I was standing in front of the TV. For it was like 20
That's the
minutes,
one that was the one when you almost got into it with the security guard. Is that the
right?
one?
And then,
And then your boy spray painted the Wu symbol. Yeah, I got you.
yeah, I was standing in front of the TV, and before I knew it, it had been like 25 minutes that I had been standing there in front of the TV, like literally right at the TV, just watching the show. And
Yeah.
I was like, I know I'm supposed to be doing something else while I'm watching this show. I just got stuck. I was like, dang, this joint got me hooked. And I think I actually I might have made a TikTok or I made some type of video showing the scene, one of the scenes from that episode, and talking about how it was so dope to see hip hop on TV, and even just to think about the the origin of hip hop. It came from nothing, literally came from nothing to become the biggest culture in the world that connects people from all over the world, musically and in different ways. So, but that episode had me like, dang, yeah,
Yeah. I don't know what it actually. I knew I was gonna like it from the jump once I got into it. I don't know if I can say that was a something that totally grabbed me, but I will say, you remember when they got to when Bobby was out there and he was Rakim, and he went on that and they were trying to promote him. Jamie Hector had him out there. Shout out to Jamie Hector, as we know from tons of shows, especially the GOAT series, The Wire. But when he was out there and they were I guess they were about to go to sound check or something. They were there, and everything was just going wrong for them. They had to put the wrong names on the T-shirts and all that. But you had that Just Ice moment when they had Just Ice standing up there on the stage, and I guess he was on the sound check. What I knew, I went crazy when I saw that, because if you know anything about, if you've ever heard any stories about Just Ice, that Just Ice really want nobody to be messing around with. Like Just Ice, he wanted his stuff the way he wanted it. Whether we talking in the street, we talking on the microphone, and that's just the way it was. And they just played that out in the movie, like off top.
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so I thought that was really dope. Being a big Just Ice guy myself from back in the day, especially his first couple of albums. But that moment really, really grabbed me right then. I said, this is the dude that I've been hearing about since I was like in high school. I've been hearing this dude was like real like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a lot of moments. It's a lot of moments. I'm kind of seeing some of them pass, you know, through my brain right now. Just moments outside and Bobby having to pow, you know,
Yeah,
and then at the "We Love You, Rakim"
yeah.
video shoot, and different moments in the series.
It's hard to
That
go back and watch that joint now, man.
yeah.
Let's go back and look at that video, man.
Oh, oh, "We Love You,
Love you,
Rakim."
Raheem.
Yeah, that's tough.
That is crazy, man. The whole as we get into these characters, man, the whole family aspect was dope to me, because when they started this off, it really was just family. Because you think about it, before we started to meet the rest of the guys that were going to become the Wu, we saw legit family. So we saw Bobby and Divine, but of course, we saw the Jizza, who's going to become the Jizza, and we saw Russell ODB. You know what I'm saying? Because they cousins. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So the way that they in those early episodes, that all we really saw was them, together. I thought that was pretty dope. I think they did a good job of portraying the fact that they were a family without overemphasizing they were family. See what I'm saying? We knew, oh, what's up,
right,
cuz? What's up, cuz? This and the third. You know, and I think that takes a lot of people back to probably their childhoods. Was like, even today, where you might love your fam, but even your cousins that you probably hung out with consistently growing up, things of that nature. Y'all don't see each other every day,
right.
But that early thing I thought was pretty dope.
Indeed.
But let's get into some of these characters, man. Let's get into some of these characters, and let's see how we feel about the portrayal of some of these people. Um, First up, let's start up top. Let's start with ODB. How'd you feel about the casting? Was that TJ Adams?
Yeah, he was wild. He was ODB like. He was ODB like, and he was over the top.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he portrayed Dirty well, and especially for a TV show, he made sure he was extreme, but he was he was ODB. He was ODB.
Yeah, ODB to me, I think he was dope. I thought he was dope. There was people that actually would comment, really was thinking that was actually ODB's real son.
Right.
Yeah, and he played it, man. I going back to rewatch it. I think one of the funniest things to me, if you really wanted to know if ODB was like crazy, right? You remember the scene when he was I think it was season 2, when he met that girl. He was at the girl's apartment, and her baby daddy ran up on him and his crew. Yep. And he kept going back. Like he kept going back. Like he went there, he caught the beat there and he went back, went back there and talked to just came back, caught it again. And I'm saying to myself, because what we find out is he's doing, not saying there should be any basis one way or the other why you doing it. But
Right.
you understand that he's doing this, going after this particular girl in danger. He hadn't even gotten with her physically yet. You know what I'm saying? Because you remember one joint he was just like, "What you saying about me hitting or whatever?" And I'm like, "This dude crazy! Like this dude is actually crazy going back and forth to this girl's crib. No, he got to deal with this, and they ain't even kicking it super hard. You feel me?
Right.
So I thought that was dope though. And of course you knew it wasn't real when he turned the old boy's gun back on him, though, like straight shouting. that was crazy. But I take my hat off to the kid. I think it was TJ. I think he did a really really good job on that. This is a controversial one, so I'm gonna go down. What about Dennis? What about Ghostface? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, and shout out to Sadiq, the whole 9 yards. I wasn't 100% sold on him playing Ghostface.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was good. I
No,
thought he was good because he had the mannerisms of Ghost, and he was like a cleaned up Ghost. He was like a more polished Ghostface.
not that I didn't like him. I actually think he did a good job. I think it actually took probably a season and a half before. I mean, I love what they did with him. I love the raw edge and the regular edge to him, but he didn't grab me immediately as that character. Like I saw him playing that character.
Right.
Um, immediately. I think maybe when they got into maybe the middle of the second season, or right around there when they when was it? Really when they started to really when they were on the ferry. And
Mm. With all them on there.
they got them all together on the ferry.
Mm-hmm.
And they were going back and forth and still trying to, ease the tension between the two sides. I don't know. He started to really win me over then, but from then on, I was, I was really cool about him. But I'm not gonna lie, at the beginning, I wasn't a huge fan of him playing that character. But then again, I was trying to think who else would I've gotten that I know of,
Right.
but didn't have to be anybody that we knew. We didn't know a lot of these people before they started doing these characters.
True.
So Inspector Deck is a tricky one because we had two different people playing Deck in this one. So a lot of people may not remember. If we go back to the early part of it, was actually Joey Badass was actually the character.
Yeah. Good
And
point. Good point.
yeah, Joey Badass played the character, and I haven't seen why he didn't come back. My only thoughts was maybe it mixed up with his scheduling. Raising Canaan maybe was a possibility.
Yeah, because he was doing that, and he was on something else as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Joey
So
getting busy on the acting part too.
who Joey?
Yeah.
Yeah, people sleep on Joey. But Joey is, and I actually, I know it might not be everybody's cup of tea, but what is these days. But I've actually, over the past, I don't know, for 3 years or so, come up somewhat a fan of his music too. Like if you go back and see
Oh
some of
yeah.
his stuff, I wasn't known to him from the jump, but yeah, I like his stuff, man. Joey, good dude, man. Um,
I was
but
just
the
looking it up. He just said he wouldn't return. No
anything on
reports
that,
as to why.
yeah, easy. Yeah, it's I'm thinking it's got to do with scheduling. What you think about the my man, the second guy? I forget his name.
Ashton.
I think it's Uodi. It's Udi,
Oh,
huh?
Yudi. Yudi. Yeah, yeah. He was all
Udi,
right.
yeah,
He was all right. He was all right. Not. But I mean, there's only so much you can
yeah.
expect from Inspect the Deck in general. Weirdly enough, Inspector Deck is probably more outgoing than I give him credit for in real life or in media. Because I've always thought of Inspector Deck as just a laid back,
Yeah,
and the guy. But I don't think he's that though. The more I've seen him more recently in real life, the more I think he's more outgoing. He's just not, super flashy, and he's not meth or ghost when it comes to being, seen. So yeah,
All right, my man, John L. Young played Gary, who we know ended up being the Jizza. I'm gonna tell you off top, I thought he was thorough. I loved him. I thought he was thorough from start to finish. And listen, I love this character.
yeah, he seemed like Jizza,
Hmm.
so understated to an extent. But whenever he talked, he like, commanded attention to a degree. I thought he was dope as well.
All right, here's the one. Here's the one right here because if you search a lot of websites, people got mixed feelings about this one. But let's go on to the man Ashton Sanders played Bobby Diggs, aka the RZA. All right, what you think about his performance in this?
You know, he was fine. I think, yeah. Now that you're asking these specific questions, I might have to rank them in an order of who I thought was the most, I guess the best as that character. Because not thinking about it, just seeing him, I'd be like, yeah, he was good. But
Yeah,
then his phrasings, like he was over the top with it.
what I'm saying, yo,
he,
it was a
he
unit.
was over the top with it, and all of it seemed like it's not his personality. Like it seemed like it was not his personality at all. But I mean, it's the RZA. It's the RZA. So who really knows? Who really knows?
I challenge you this: if you so the second time that I went through to watch the series, well, I rewatched the first two seasons, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I think I kind of slighted him
Yeah,
because not I never disliked him playing the character. Let me say that. But I just was it just was is what it was, right? When I went back and watched it the second time, got new respect for him. I know the voice was a little over the top, and I understand what they were trying to do, what they were trying to get. But seeing how he portrayed that character, uh, through the struggle, the mental games and the mental challenges that he had to go through, I don't know. I got a newfound respect for him watching the second time. He's a little bit high up on my list now than he was when I first watched it the first time.
right.
I think he actually did a pretty good job. Um, Cherie, I love Cherie. I love her. Matter of fact, if you don't follow Zola Griggs on Instagram, whatever, very positive person. Love her personality, love her character. I think they did a really good job because my first thing I was like, man, she on here, man, but she looked kind of young, but then she's supposed to be young, like and I didn't realize how young. Um, Even when I found out that she was young until later when she was talking about studying. When she made the comment, her mom said something about studying for a GED or something, and I was like, wait a minute, I know she's young, but she's like super young. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? But I think she did an excellent job, and I think she was a great job as being the stabilizing, uh, and the voice of reason, the stabilizing force behind Ghost, because she could always the way she looked at him. I mean, it was a good performance. How she got to him. You need to do this. I need you got to stop that. Why don't you go with my brother? I need you to go with my brother. This, that, and the third. That's what you need. I need you to get from around here. I don't think it's safe for you. So I take my hat off to her. I think she did a really good job.
Yeah, I think she did a good job as well. Uh, yeah, her age, it was very confusing. I didn't realize she was supposed to be that young either.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as an actress, she did a great job, and it's not like we have anything to compare her to as far as knowing her character in real life or seeing her in the music industry.
Indeed. Um, but yeah, if y'all looking for some good stuff, positive stuff in your life, check her out. Zoli Griggs. She's on Instagram. Of course we talked about Shamik Moore. I mean that's what it is. Masterful performance.
Yeah,
He was Ray. Even Ray said that he might have been overdoing a little bit, but Ray generally enjoyed his performance. Like that kid, damn, he just had it down. Uh,
yeah.
the look in the eyes, everything.
Ray
This
might have thought he was, like, Ray might have thought he was overdoing it. We don't think he was overdoing it. We think he was Ray.
Ray, that's you. That's you.
That's you. That's you, guy. That's you.
Julian Elijah Martinez was Divine. And Divine, first, I tell everybody, well, this is funny. So if you've ever watched, which I know you have, the Mike's and Men joint, whatever, and you see Divine and you look at him, I said, well, damn, at least physically,
They
he
got
looked
the
like
look.
Divine. I was
The
like,
hair,
when they first
hairline.
played this joint, I said, you sure this ain't the real Divine on this joint?
What was funny about his character is every time he said the N word or cursed, I felt uncomfortable. I was like, what? Where do y'all? He was fine as a character. He's fine as a character, generally speaking. But when he talked, nah, it was weird. Especially when he said anything that had anything to do with being in the streets. It just seemed odd. But they had to look now. They had to look.
I guess one of my favorite parts, because it hits close to home, it was a scene that he was in when he was locked up. And they was trying to get everything situated. He was trying to get out. And he told dude, he was like, he said, what did he say? He said, man, I need Matlock. He ain't never lost a case. And the old boy in the jail said, well, actually, he did lose one on a flashback episode. And you say, why? So, Prime, why do you like that? Because that's true. Right? Anybody that's an old, Andy Griffin from a Matlock fan,
Right.
go back and watch the old episodes, which I've seen every one probably 20 times, and I still watch them on the daily when I'm home. That is true. The one that he lost was in a flashback episode from back when he was first starting out. You know what I'm saying? Like it was like, I think it was like black and white type joint. So it was funny how they brought this in, and the writers of this show actually, somebody was a Matlock fan to know
Right.
that small little tidbit. It's one of those things you would only know if you was a fan of the show.
Got it.
So I love that. So I think overall, though, I think he did a good job. I think he did a really good job in this. Me personally, like, cause he's not somebody, if you was to look at him, from afar and be like that he in the street, right? You wouldn't take him as a street guy initially. But I've known people like that, right? That he ain't no street dude or whatever. But then you're going to find out that he is or was at one point was out in the streets for whatever reason.
Right.
But it's not somebody you would just look at him initially. So I could kind of get it, which kind of also played into the fact that he also was pretty daggone smart, and determined. If he didn't know something, he was determined to figure out how I'm gonna know it, So shout out to him. I think he did a pretty good job. And I'm gonna tell you right now, Dave East, I loved him as Meth. I loved him as Meth. Everything about it. Him, he was, the voice, the movements, the mannerisms. If you ever hear any stories about Method Man, they always talk about Meth was somewhat certain times kind of a loner at times. that was Dave in this movie, right? Mm-hmm. He had his crew. He know where he wanted to be. I'll be here for a minute. I might be here for a minute. I'm gonna kick it with the crew. I might take it back to the hood. I thought it was a masterful job. I thought that was a great pick right there.
Yeah, indeed, definitely. But I'm gonna have to do this on TikTok or something.
Yeah.
And rank, or at least maybe not rank them to the end because I don't want to really carry nobody, but at least rank my favorite 3 Wu-Tang characters and how real they were to the real person that we know.
I don't know if you want to give yours now or not. That's I know you know.
Oh yeah.
What you say?
I haven't thought about it, but I can. Yeah.
All right, so all right. Let me give you mine.
Okay.
Right. I'm gonna give you 3, and I just looking at the casting and everything. One of mine is not even up here. All right, so I'm gonna give you number 3 for me was Dave East. All right. Okay. Number 2, of course, was Shameik playing Ray. Do you know who I enjoyed more than every last one of them? I'm not saying he was better than all of them, but there's probably a lot of reasons for it. It was Power.
Come on, man. You can't.
No, I love Power. Let me tell you why. Because one, not saying that any of these guys were believable. You always see these shows and they always get this fake looking tough guy, right? to play a part, and sometimes you can buy it, you don't buy it. There was nothing about his performance I didn't buy, that he was supposed to be a tough guy. Number two, he was heavily calculated. And I don't know if the real Power in real life, who's the executive producer of the Wu, is actually like that. I would guess he would be the way they played him. But the perfect balance of being a critical thinker, businessman, tough guy, I think he sold that crazily. I mean, crazily. And then I love the way they played him too. This guy going out here, once he was finally convinced about rolling with Bobby and maybe getting out the streets, they finally convinced, and this is a guy that had all the boroughs on lock. Remember Bobby said he brought him in because he basically is like the one guy that's respected in other boroughs.
Everywhere. Yeah.
Everywhere. Everybody, power. So I think, man, I just think he did, I was at Marcus Calendar. I just think he was excellent, man. I just think he, from beginning to end, every time they showed him, the tough guy, the thinker, the smart. Remember, he had a feeling that something was about to go left. Remember when they was dealing with, what's my man name? What was the roster's name? I can't think of his name in the whatever, Cressy, or whatever. Remember he got Bobby, he got Ray up when Ray was in there trying to record the music.
Yeah,
they pulled him out. It's just second they got out in the car to 5. I just really enjoyed Marcus Calendar playing Power, man. I just, and I'm not saying that he gave a better performance than Ray, which we know, and I just enjoyed watching him the times that we saw him on the screen. Everything for me was believable about him.
Yeah, well, we got the same 3, but that Power was my number 3.
Oh, he's number 3. I got you.
Yeah, I was hoping you were gonna say You God or something. I was like, man,
hold on, man.
Don't let him say Power.
Who will say? Anyway, I ain't gonna respect the guy.
It could have been You God. It could have been, but Power's number 3 for me. Meth Davies number 2, number 1 is Raekwon with Shamik Moore. Yeah, that's my order.
And that's cool to have them ranked, that close together, especially like I said, Ray and Power, because they're like I said, their dynamic in this whole series was crazy enough. The respect was gonna always be there, even when Ray wasn't working for him no more. You know what I'm saying? So and the love that he showed Ray, because you gotta think about it, I understand in the streets that people take care of their people, but he had his ear to the street, found out, Ray was pretty much I guess he was kicked out of the house. Ray living on the street, found out, put him in an apartment, even though it was also to serve part of his purpose too. But I'm gonna get you out of the street. Gave the man a car, they weren't working together no more, but they get on the ferry. Now he still gonna be the voice of reason to the point that Ray respected the hell out of him. That's my man regardless, So yeah, I love Power's character in this. And did you know, you may have known this, did you know that the real Power was Knowledge and Belly?
Really?
Yeah, Knowledge born. Yeah, the man that got, remember it's crazy. Remember he's in Belly talking about, stuff got crazy. It was coming out of the Wu-Wear store, that is the real Knowledge, real Power.
Yeah. That makes sense. Wow.
Yeah, that's the real guy, man. That is the real
crazy.
Guy. We didn't see a lot of Master Killer. So that's what it was. And you got, I know a lot of people, probably the least favorite Wu member, and but I thought Youngin I think he did a solid job. What's his name? Damani. I think it's Damani D, whatever. I think he did a solid job of what it was. I actually really felt it when the whole joint, he was got that bad news when they were out there on the tour, whatever, about his son being shot. I think Son sold that joint.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, he was solid. And if you ever watch any of you guys' interview, especially when certain members were at odds with each other over the years, and there was certain things, and went down certain paths between him and Jizz of the whole 9 yards, he can be kind of hard dude, seemed like, got my mind made up, this is what it is. Yeah, I don't care. So I think that was definitely solid, man. Did we forget anybody? We talked about Erica Alexander, Bokeem Woodbine. We just,
Jerome.
Yeah, Jerome, solid. Very underappreciated in my opinion. as an actor over the years. But I think I love this one because he wasn't playing the tough guy.
Right.
So we got to see him in a different element.
Although he had just got out, there was that. But.
Yep. And what stars did we see portrayed in this? Well, we saw a glimpse of Kane,
Tracy Wavels. That was Lala.
Yep. We talked about Just Ice. Roxanne Shante, because remember Shante and Kane was shopping in the store where they had the furs.
Right. I'm trying to think.
Season 3 is that the one he came out with? Did he? No, some people forgot, but I just thought that was dope. Yeah. That was dope. We see a quick cameo of someone, and I love to mention. Oh, Eric Sermon. Remember when Ray was trying to record?
Yeah,
he had the studio next door from old boy, and he walked in on the session.
Right,
and they were sitting at the joint, and remember he even mentions later on, in the series. When he came back, what was he talking to? When he told somebody, said, "Yo, y'all, I just heard this joint the other day." He put Eric. He got a joint with Redman and K Solo, man. That joint, and I guess he's probably recording Knick Knack Paddywhack. I guess I'm not sure, whatever. But he mentions that he came from this. You got to hear it, son. It's gonna be crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Got to throw Big in there.
Yep, Big. Solid job, man.
Yeah.
So. Like I said, I'm sad to the point that we're not going to have something to look forward to every Wednesday. But I'm glad that we don't have to look forward to it because I think, it could have run the risk of them trying to do more than they needed to do. And we sitting here, 4, maybe 5 seasons later, and it starts to get, dry. Or not as good as it was.
That's one positive of television now. With so many options, I don't know if it's because of so many options, but it's like most series don't continue until they get bad, for the most part. I mean, they might not be as great. They might not be at their pinnacle when they end, but they don't get to us like, oh, this is terrible to watch, and I really don't want to watch this anymore, for the most part. So I can appreciate that.
Yeah, I guess the last thing I really got to say about it, other than the fact that I really enjoyed it, I will say something that this stuck with me. If you remember early when Bobby was trying to get Divine to believe in his vision, what he was trying to do. If you remember, Divine made this statement. He said something about if you're gonna make it in this world, then you got to put in the work. And you think about it. He said that at a time when he wasn't really talking about Bobby's music. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was at a time when Divine was still thinking about street gang. We got to put food on this table. You see what I'm saying? The street gang. And then we get to, second season. And of course, even more so going in the last episode, which I thought was great. Whereas you see just how committed he ended up being. Bobby convinced him, like, look, we don't need you in these streets no more. He got him convincing the vision. I need you, my brother. I need you to make this work, and this is a way we can keep you out the street, right? But also, even more so, down to that last episode, of course, Triumph. Whereas when old boy was out there trying to shut the power off of them when they were trying to perform, and he ready out there to throw blows with the man. Yeah. Like, no, look how far he came in that joint. You know what I'm saying?
Indeed. Yeah, overall it was a enjoyable series. Definitely glad we had it, and like I said, we got to see a hip hop group, a legendary hip hop group, while 90% of them are still living, and got to see their past or parts of their past that they were able to share.
Yeah, where else you gonna be able to see? How, what do they say now? People getting out of the mud, like, guys coming out writing rhymes on cereal boxes in the studio, writing their rhymes on pizza boxes, soda cups. We saw all that during this whole ordeal. We got some masterful storytelling. I think we got some masterful one-off episodes,
Yeah.
especially the making of the Only Built for Cuban Links episode, which is probably my favorite. Of all of them. That was crazy. We got some masterful storytelling and some masterful visions, and luckily it didn't suffer the fate of Netflix series we were talking about with the Get Down, whereas they had a lot of visuals in the movie. Some of it they would go to like to be kind of animated and
Right.
cartoonish
Yeah.
things, and they said one of the reasons that show didn't make it because the budget was crazy trying to do all those effects. So luckily
Right.
this show, well, I didn't have as much as to Get Down. It was still with some stuff in it, especially they were shooting videos and things of that nature. But overall, solid. They ended it well. I love the last episode on Triumph. I think everything in that episode was timed perfectly on that last episode, all the way down to the end when they're at home, where at the crib about to take a holiday dinner. I think everything was powerful in that. So big up to the Riz and everybody involved for giving us that. And it's definitely a good rewatch. I challenge anyone who hasn't seen it to go see it. If you have seen it, I challenge you to go and watch it again, because I feel like you'll be like myself and have even more of appreciation for things you might not have appreciated as much the first time you watched it.
Right.
Indeed, indeed. So, yeah, but we appreciate y'all checking us out. Check us on Facebook, The Sports Bar Podcast, SBP. You see it right there at the top of the screen. Also join us on YouTube on the same name. So, we always say in the SBP, sports talk is our thing, but hip hop, television, and movies are always in play. And that's what we do. So we catch y'all on the next one. We out.